which is obviously something on the left, right?
Yeah.
And
is he right-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is with people like that is generally their right hand will be their tool hand. Right? That's what they're using, all the tools, spanners, ratchets, all the power tools, and they end up holding everything with the left.
Yeah.
Gearboxes, or trying to fit things. They'll be using the tools, but they're always holding the weight. Yeah. At an awkward angle with the opposite hand. That's why they always end up a bit like this. Yeah. Your posture, the way I like to look at it is that your posture is like a product of your environment. Right? It's never done in the gym, and the gym is kind of the best way to correct it. Right? So that's where sometimes programming is kind of vital as well. Sometimes it makes it difficult if they are... Well, actually, no, it doesn't make it difficult, to be fair. Like, you expect it to make it difficult if they are being coached by someone, because you're like, right, I'm going to interrupt what your coach is doing. But actually, every coach that I've dealt with, been like, look, this is a problem, this is not helping.
I think it'd be stupid not to look like it.
Can you change this around, do this, do that? Every coach has been like, yeah, mate, we're good. Yeah. And actually, like, some of them even be like, right, go see Gav. Whatever he says, do.
So, if obviously people don't know who you are and what you do, explain what you do.
Technically, sports massage. That's with a twist. I started off as a PT, and I trained in sports massage to kind of, at the time, it was training people, and the sports massage was just a little auxiliary that I could offer my clients, basically just so I could have fewer clients, but like double up on the income from less clients, right? Didn't really work. At the time, sports massage was really, really like...
When did you start?
15 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't know that long ago. Jesus Christ. I was like 10 years, 5 years.
Yeah, getting old. So, at the time, like, people had it. I did some work with, like, some mates played rugby and stuff, so I would sort of, like, get involved a bit, like, with some of the rugby lads, and I was in the gym. I'm working in the gym, so I would do a bit, but it was definitely not. You couldn't do it full time. Yeah. No, I couldn't, unless I went into like clinical, kind of environment, which I couldn't think of nothing worse than being in a white room with no windows. One after the other, conveyor belt.
We'll come on to that later. Yeah, that's a different story.
That's like I want nothing to do with that. Yeah, that's not my vibe at all. And then I actually ended up getting involved in GP referrals.
Oh yeah.
Wicked. One of the most satisfying areas of my whole career was GP referrals. 80% of the people were probably with depression. That was the most rewarding time I was ever like a personal trainer. It was wicked. Downside to it, it was no money. It was like a little bit above gym instructor money, which is such a shame, because I probably helped more people than I ever did PT in. Nearly all of my PTs at that time in Cambridge were just wealthy, middle-aged sort of women, drop the kids off at school, go to the gym, have a PT session, go sit in the bar, restaurant bit, have some lunch, a couple of gins, and go pick the kids up from school. Do you know what I mean? That was pretty much my client base while I was playing around with a PT.
They just kind of want you to fill a bit of time, don't they? A little bit. So the focus isn't on it really.
So you've got there was no real intent or goal with them. It wasn't a great experience for me as a PT who really wanted to like I wanted to get everyone jacked. Do you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to work bodybuilders. and like young people, different athletes and stuff. But at the time, it just wasn't a good time for that. Like it was a good time to earn money dealing with them kind of people in them environments. Like they were the people that could afford like PT. And then it kind of like, then the boot campy stuff started. A friend of mine started up a very popular boot camp in Ely, and he wanted me to get involved in it because he was not a morning person, and he wanted me to do the morning stuff and he did the afternoon stuff. And you know, star jumps and burpees in a playground in like winter was just
6 a.m. or something.
Nah, you're right. No thanks. And then just as time evolved, I actually I left the fitness industry.
Did you?
Yep, completely left fitness industry. Carried on with my sports massage, and I actually went into engineering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, completely left it. I was sick of it.
Well, like college, university thing, or did you just kind of?
No, just went into building engines, basically, like car engines, race engines, all different kind of engines. Which actually, you know, when you look at it from like a mechanical standpoint of like moving things and what's moving things and that, it's actually kind of a similar chain of thought. In what's happening, what's moving what, that's moving that, that's doing that, that's doing that. It's very much like the anatomy, you know. It's that same interest. That's the thing that's when I start working out that's the thing I'm interested in, the mechanics of stuff. But actually what that allowed me to do is have a very structured, we're talking structure, we're talking buzzers going off when you can eat, you know, like on the minute. So what that allowed me to do is kind of completely come off the fitness industry, focus on something which actually wasn't that difficult to master. And then I just kind of over the time just built my niche. It was made it less stressful coming out of the fitness industry completely. Actually, all the stress had gone. I just worked on who I wanted to, when I wanted to, and how I wanted to.
Turned to more of a hobby, I suppose, didn't it?
And hobby's fun. A hobby isn't stressful, and that's kind of like if that can be your work, then you
completed.
Like you're winning, right? That's kind of ideal. Then eventually I just I come out of engineering and just it was actually a mate of mine, Jack. He was he messaged me and he was like, mate, you still massage? And I'm all jacked up and stuff, and we used to train together at the same gym. And I was like, yeah, mate. I was like, yeah, come over. And I massaged him. We spent an hour or so chatting, and he was like, mate, why are you not doing this full time? I'd almost kind of just got into the habit of it just being like a hobby. And I was just like, nah, there's not, you know, I've done it before, there's not really a calling of it. And then you're like, well, actually, that was over 10 years. That was like 10 years ago when I did it full time, or when I tried. So what I did, he was like, mate, I'm telling you, like, you need to be doing this full time. So I set up an Instagram page, created like Realign, and within a week, I'd booked like a month's worth of evenings.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I was like, right, this is not how it was. And bearing in mind, in this time where I've been sort of engineering, I've kind of built a family, you know, hours of children and stuff. So I was like, do I give up this job and like go into this? So I thought, I'm going to do the evenings. I'm going to book a week off. Booked a week full of appointments like that. Like literally people like coming out from like 30 miles away, and I'm like, man, this is.
Did you have somebody from Manchester as well, didn't you?
Birmingham.
Birmingham, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. She comes over every couple of months or so. A lot of my client base are kind of, we used to be March Charis. That's kind of one group, and then sort of some sort of Ely way, and then Cambridge. Yeah, South Cambridge kind of. That's the majority of them. I have about 5 in Millport.
On your doorstep.
Yeah. And then, you know, I had the week off work. I was like, yeah, this is, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And then that was it. I just carried on.
Just never went back.
Never went back. I've been sort of flat out since.
That's nice. That's
It's a nice feeling. Working from home's nice.
Yeah, it's good as well. I think if you've got, especially in the fitness industry, as you will know, there's a lot of people I know over the years that have started in the fitness industry. I'm going to class just for now as sports massage in the fitness industry, whatever. But they start, they're keen, they've got all these ideas, and they really want to do it, and then they realise the reality of it. Actually, it's not very good money.
No.
It is if you work hard, but that's later on.
Yeah.
And you have to learn your trades. You have to learn about the body. You have to learn about people. You have to learn what works, what doesn't work, the core ethical values of everything as well. You have to learn that. And then it's such a shame to see so many people stop doing it and then never go back to it. But it's good that you had a little bit of a break, isn't it? And then said, you know what, I've actually got a bit more clarity now as to things, and I've kind of took a bit of a step to the side. So now you've relaxed a bit more. You're probably not as tense and stressed as everything. So you went straight back into it, and the good core values that you had went straight back into realign, and then you could start to kind of give the best version of yourself, and it worked.
That's it. I think what's really important in the fitness industry, and like the massage, we'll put it in the same, because that is most of my clients, right? Like people we train in whatever sport. It's you, right? Like it's you. Like you're the selling point.
Yeah.
You have to shine, right? Like you have to be the reason people are coming to you. Yeah. Because like a PT is a PT. A sports massage therapist is a sports massage therapist. The techniques I use are no different to any other sports massage, really. I know obviously the tools and stuff are not overly popular, I guess. But they are. Yeah. But like people just, you know, if you, it's just one.
Well, I was going to ask you actually, because what I might do is on the video I'm going to put little just snippets of what they are, just so people can roughly see what they are. A couple, just to see.
Shout,
so for those who don't know, just explain what the benefit of the tools are and why you use them, and also why do people not use them, especially in this area regularly. I mean, I don't know anybody apart from you that uses it. I might be wrong, but I think you're the only one I know that uses them. Yeah. So explain what they do and kind of what the benefit of them is, really.
So they're called Graston tools, scrapers. They're all slightly different shapes, slightly different edges. They all do slightly different jobs, and basically what their job is, depending on where you do it. So let's say that you've got a problem with your calf. You can't feel everything with your fingers. Like you can feel like it's a bit tight or whatever, but like your calves are always tight. Like calves are horrible to massage. I hate having my calves massaged. They hurt. Everyone's calves hurt. But you can't feel everything. So the good thing with the Graston tools is you use it as a scanner to start with, right? So you're going back and forth, and you've seen how it sort of goes red, start getting some sort of blood to the area, and you'll start seeing little blemishes, little marks. And they're soft tissue tools, right? They're not for deep tissue or anything. They're all for soft tissue. And basically what the tool is doing is it will highlight where there's any sort of dysfunctions in the soft tissue. And once you've kind of gone over the area, and you'll see these kind of marks coming up, and there's different techniques, you like feathering, and you can use it to sort of pin, so that you can use it to like pin the calf, and then you sort of move your ankle to kind of stretch the Achilles and stuff. There's all different techniques with it, but basically the tools are used first for scanning to highlight any issues, any areas with issues, and then it's very efficient at like removing scar tissue. Knots, so we call it knots, but they're not knots, they're adhesions, or saves your hands. And as a general rule, it might sound silly, but they're actually way more comfortable than using my hands. Yeah, right. They are. I know they look gnarly, like these massive like metal bars scraping up and down your back.
No handle grips either.
And it's just pure metal. And I get that people look at them and they're like, man, and like they leave a lot of marks. Right, we are taking that area right to just before bruising, really, like micro damage. Yeah, you know, and that's the whole point of it. The difference is is, I mean, I know other people that do use the tools. They perhaps don't use them how I use them, because one of my things is I like to do as much work as possible in that one session. Yeah. Right. So you'll notice that my clients may come out looking a bit redder, bit more rawer than some others. But that's because I'm not in the business of trying to get you come back in 3 days' time or next week, or let's get 5 sessions booked in. Right. I'm not, that's not part of my business model. I'm not about that. So I want to take you as close to 10, you know, like on a scale of 1 to 10, ideally I'd like to get to 12, you know, because that's where we get most of the work done. It's horrible. The recovery is going to be a little longer. You know, it's going to be a little sorer, but it's not damage. It's not like you can go train afterwards. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of one thing that a lot of other like therapists and stuff will say as well, where they'll say like, you can't train, you know, and it's like, you know, it's not that intense. Like you can go train. Like if you was an athlete and you was at the Olympics or somewhere, you know, and you were just fixing a little niggle on someone, like what are you going to say? No, you can't. You can't perform in the Olympics today. You have to wait till tomorrow. Like, that's not the point of it. The point of it is to get you moving. Yeah, that feels way better. Wicked.
There we go.
Go. You know, if it's like an acute injury that's happened recently, generally it leaves very little mark, and it's a very simple fix. But the chronic issues that we were saying about, you know, guys that have had problems for a long time, and men are terrible for it. Men are just wired up to just keep going, keep going. That'll be right. You know, and then by the time they get into me, they're like this. And my wife, it's normally my wife's bought me a voucher, or my wife's booked me in. They just turn up. They ain't got a clue. They don't know what they're walking into. They're just their wife will message me saying, "Can I book my husband in? I've had enough of listening to him moaning." Vouchers for Father's Day. I do like a voucher, a full body voucher.
Happy Father's Day.
And like Father's Day or birthday, they're like, I've got a voucher for a massage or something. I'm like, poor man.
Put the little subtle lake sounds on YouTube and let's go.
Yeah, I do. See, as soon as they come in, I'm like, I already feel sorry for them, because they just haven't got a clue. They're not on social media. They haven't got a clue who I am or what's about to go down.
Well, that was my experience, right? And I'm not going to tell people that obviously it was the worst experience ever, because obviously you get a lot of people say to you, "Oh, it really hurt" and all this. But I just want to clarify as well. Gav sorted out my problem after 1 session. I haven't been back for 2 years, so that just says how much that it works. Do you know what I mean? And I still have problems, whatever, but that's for obviously different reasons. But for the problem I had at the time, you fixed it on that session. Or you put me on the road to fixing it. It didn't like go, I can now jump about and do all this. But but I didn't know what to expect. I got referred through Steve. Painful, it was good, it was tough, but I felt like my body was actually doing something, as opposed to obviously when you go to, and I'm not going to slag off NHS physios and whatever, because there are probably some really good diamonds in the rough there. But I do feel like, which we'll come on to in a minute, that they don't fix a problem, and like you've said, you don't want to see them again within reason, unless it's like checkups and stuff and kind of just keeping them ticking over. But I felt like my body would probably be okay after you finished your torture in a nice way. So, and it did, and I think that's kind of a good thing to say, is they might not know what to expect. They might hate it as they're doing it, but
it's horrible.
The difference is there.
You know, there is an element of it that it is horrible. You know, and the worse you are, the worse it feels. Yeah. You know, there's no. I tell no one it's going to be pleasant. Honestly, and I don't mean to be selling it as something that's like really painful. But when people think massage in their head, they think nice candles and whale music and, you know what I mean, hot stones and all that sort of stuff. That's not what you're getting. Yeah. that's not what happens.
If you think that's what it is.
You know, we just want to fix things. Yeah. We just want, something's not working properly, and I will do whatever I can in that time scale to make it work properly. Yeah. That's it. That's all I'm concerned about. People message me asking if I do relaxing massage and that. Nope. Yeah. Send them off to, I've got friends that are fantastic massage therapists for, like, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't do it.
Yeah.
Cupping treatments, just cupping treatments. I use cupping as a tool, but it's not good enough, in my opinion, to do a whole treatment of just cupping. Yeah. It's a wicked tool, additional tool, but it's not good enough as a whole treatment.
Explain the cupping to people. I think they've probably seen it. People look like they've been attacked.
It's kind of very similar to the scraping in the sense of like it's soft tissue work, and you've got different ways of cupping. You can do it's like sliding cupping, where you kind of go up and down the affected muscle, and it's just about drawing blood to the area. At myofascia, you've got the myofascia kind of under the skin, and it's kind of like about releasing that as well. It's sort of soft tissue work. Again, it's mainly soft tissue work.
Yeah. So it's almost like so especially with the tools and the cupping, you're kind of saying that that's just a way of you finding where those kind of main blemishes and those problem areas
exactly
are.
And then you can work on the area. So then some people, when an area, so the problem is with once areas get jacked up and they get tight, is they get stagnant. Blood flow is rubbish. And then you've got other systems that work within the muscle as well. And nothing works. So you've got like the whole lymphatic system where it kind of like moves fluid to like your lymph sites, your glands, and then you kind of like to get rid of byproducts or whatever. That doesn't work. Nothing's going anywhere. That's where you get like swelling. Like it's people that they're like bed bound or something, and their legs swell. It's because nothing's moving anything around. So then they have to have like a lymphatic drainage massage to sort of move fluid on. So once you've got muscles stagnant, that's when they hurt. That's when they're painful. And sometimes like trying to massage a really tight area is actually, for some people, it's too painful. Yeah. It's way too painful. So the cups are actually a good idea, a good tool to just cup the area. Now you can obviously, you've seen how much you can sort of suck up through the cup. You can only put a little bit, leave it for a few minutes. Do a little bit more, and it's just a way of getting blood flow into the area. It's soft tissue, myofascia release, blood flow. If you get one area that's really painful, really tight, then you can do a static cupping, where you just put the cup on the area, leave it for like 10 minutes, and it kind of relaxes the area because it's got blood flow. Yeah. Once you kind of get the blood, so you've got natural things that come into play as well. That's the whole key with these tools, cupping, everything is about improving blood flow and getting something working its full range properly. Right, that's the whole point. And they're just two very efficient tools. They're very good at it, which, as a general rule, are actually, I would say, less painful. Yeah. Than going at something with your hands, right? Like you just keep going over something. It's not comfortable. Yeah. But if you can go through in layers and you can sort of attack that myofascia first, the soft tissue first, and by the time you kind of get into it, it's warm, blood's there, and things work better.
It's a happier muscle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to do a lot of injury rehab stuff with people at my old job. So I always used to say to them, if you've got an injury, blood flow. So maybe if you've got a shoulder injury, the surrounding areas, so your chest, your back, whatever, before you even touch your shoulder, just to kind of make sure everything else that's connected is working. And then you can start if you need to. Obviously, if it's really injured, then probably you wouldn't as much, but you just know when to ease off, don't you? But blood flow is the key. And even if it's a little massage guns, even if it's heat, even if it is just your own,
just moving it, moving it like, it's there's plenty of ways to get blood to the area. It's a bit like, arthritis, like osteoarthritis, or like when I've just been writing a post about this morning, about like shoulder pain and stuff, and three main things I come up against where people just have a shoulder pain is, one, tight lats. I mean, the way people train lats now, especially like in the bodybuilding world, it's just everything's just so isolated, short ranges of movement, trying to target lower lats. You know what I mean? Can't do it. And like, when I think about training lats, I think, full range. Whichever way it's going, full. You would work in a full range. Where you got people like doing
Stretch and squeeze.
like these things, and it's like cause problems, right? And so where the lats come across and they attach up onto the top of your arm, if you're all back here doing all this, then all of a sudden you're going to try and get up here. There's something's going to on that shoulder joint. You know, it's going to be like you want me to go here, but I'm being pulled here. So tight lats are a big problem. Tight chest, tight pec minor, to be honest, is a lot of people now, unless you're in like a real basic gym, like I've always preferred like caveman gyms, you know, like real spit and sawdust, not too much fancy stuff. That's just the environment I've always liked to be in. But nowadays, like, have you noticed how important equipment's become to like a selling point of a gym?
Has to look pretty.
That has to look pretty. It's got to have a Cybex VR2, like, and it's got to have a Nautilus, blah blah blah, and a Cybex cable machine.
The new state of the art motion detection science,
and it's like, oh, you know, you could just use a cable machine.
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, so I've noticed a lot of people are now doing a lot more converging presses. You notice like, well, you just use dumbbells, right? But the advantage with dumbbell is I'm big free weight. I'm a big advocate of free weights. If anyone gets an injury that come to me, one of the first things we'll do is we'll look at what machines they're using, get rid of them, swap them for some free weights. Because what are the chances of you going onto a piece of kit that is perfect for your mechanics of your body? Like, it's pretty slim, right? Like, it's so something's going to have to give. And the problem is with always using machines is that they're rubbish for mobility. Like, they just are. Like, gym equipment, like these sit on pin loaded machines, right? Where they were designed just for space saving in a gym, right? To get people in. As people become more stagnant. If you look at gyms back in like 60s, 70s and into your 80s, they're all like free weights, aren't they? They're all like just cages and cable machines and free weights and benches.
It doesn't look very busy, does it? Like in terms of equipment,
there's just stuff everywhere, right? That's because we worked more manual jobs, right? So the gym has got to be harder than the work, really. Like, you've got the next step up. And then I think as more people started going into office jobs, the gym equipment was like way too extreme, right? So then they started designing these gym equipment to like sit down on. It's like I have serious hate for like the adductor machine.
Oh yeah.
Right, I hate it. It's like the most pointless. It's like a dust collector. That was designed to burn fat off the inside of your legs.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the whole point of it, right? As sort of women start kind of like going into the gyms and that sort of started becoming a thing, they aimed these machines
like a teleshop, and
like spot reduction was a massive thing in a lot of these gym equipments. So for me, that already says that most of them are probably junk. Yeah, especially the old stuff. Like, people love it. There's a gym down the road from me. It's like a museum. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has seriously put, I mean, fair play. Like, he has put a lot of effort into his selection of gym equipment.
Yeah.
But like, most of it's rubbish.
Yeah.
It just looks good, or it's like a good selling point for the gym.
Yeah.
And actually, if you like, quite a few of my clients train there, and if you watch it, they all just use like the same 10 bits kit. The rest of it just sits there, like just looking, just doing nothing. So I would always go to sort of free weights options when it comes to injuries, because you can get that full range for you. And this is what I was saying, like with the pec major, pec minor, when you're doing this convergent press, the pec minor really is coming in to play, because I've seen a lot of people now. Have you seen them where they encourage driving the elbows into the middle as they press? It kind of seems a new cue that people seem to use for pressing. The problem is with that is like it's massively pec minor.
Yeah.
You know, pec minor just brings your arms in, right? That's what it does. And then there's this kind of new thing now on fly machines. Have you seen these big like pads? You lay on a bench and you kind of almost like hug a barrel.
Don't think I've seen that.
And the problem is like
flat.
Yes, you lay flat. They're
Like
old. They're like old stuff.
Yeah,
like they're wicked. Like people love them,
Yeah.
right? Like, people love all this kind of stuff. But the problem is like the pads, they're straight, right? So you lay on a bench, you've got these pads that are straight. When you fly, like really your arms are kind of, they're not doing straight, are they?
Mm.
When you fly, you kind of come in
Yeah.
at an angle, right? You're following the line of your pec
Yeah.
or the way the shoulder wants to go. So they're kind of going against the shoulder joint already.
Yeah.
Because of the positioning of them, the scapulars are really wrapping round. So you're really like hugging barrels, right? Where ideally, like with a fly, you want to kind of keep your scapulars
Yeah. You're almost coming around.
kind
like
of lodged, right? Yeah. That seems to be. You're picking up the trends, right?
Yeah.
And that's the couple of things that I've
Is that
noticed.
just because nowadays you think people have seen it on social and they think that must be my answer?
Yeah.
Because I think until the day our human existence stops, there will always be that mentality, no matter who we are, of, is this the little secret exercise that we've been missing for our chest?
Yeah.
Is this a secret bicep curl I've been missing? And I think you have to be quite smart with that anyway as a trainer or whatever to kind of say, do you know what, there isn't a secret. But even that small percentage of you, even when we were teenagers that were looking for that, might be like, is that it?
Yeah,
So
and try it.
as well, maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Try it. Like run something for. Yeah, I'm a big believer of like there isn't a wrong exercise, right? Unless it's a problem. If something's causing problems, you got a wrong exercise for you.
Yeah,
it might be wicked for your mate, but for you, that's causing problems. Can't use it. Most adults would be like, man, that kills my shoulders. I am not using it. But all my mates use it, and everyone on Instagram's using it. Do I want to not be doing something that everyone else is doing? And you know that, I guess it's just being young, isn't it? You know, like I did stuff that I definitely shouldn't have done just because my mates were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, not even just in the gym, but like in life.
Go on, try and pick that up. Oh, no.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What's okay. Yeah. You're a pussy if you don't.
Yeah. Don't trigger me, mate.
What? Would you? You know. So, but now you would just look at it and be like,
no. There was only ever one pec fly ever in any gym I've ever been to that I connected well with. Any other pec fly out of 20 or 30 I've ever used, probably 20, not 30, I'm not stupid. That's the only one I ever used, and that was one of the cheapest bit of kit ever. Purely because just how it worked, because I've obviously got bad shoulders. So like by the time that I felt that connection, that was the only pec fly that the seated pec fly that I could connect with. I couldn't connect with the pad ones. I couldn't connect with anything else apart from this, and it's the only one that didn't aggravate my shoulders. It's weird, isn't it? How something that you would think that isn't that expensive versus a hammer strength one, it's just like you said, it depends on you, doesn't it? It's interesting.
It's just individual. But one thing that can be used across the board with every mechanics is free weights. A set of dumbbells is fully adjustable. You can move every part of you around to make it comfortable. And as long as you're getting full flexion of the shoulder, it's like we were saying about the flies, like, you know, if you're weak in the fly, which some people are, it's not a natural movement like shut doors. You can do it on the floor. Just fly to the floor. You can't hyperextend then. You can't injure yourself really with that.
Just the mechanics you need to go through, isn't it?
Yeah, and then just get stronger, and then you can go onto a bench, and you know. But other than bodybuilders, and it's even questionable, like how much bodybuilders even have to do it. Like, what use is a pec fly anyway? To be honest, I only ever see it cause more damage than good anyway. I get how you would use it late on in your prep. For sort of high rep stuff, for bringing out sort of striations, for when you're on stage. Like that's what a lot of if you follow any old bodybuilders, Phil Heath and Jay Cutler and Ronnie and all them ones that we all sort of loved to watch before we went to the gym. They said like they never touched cables until like 6 weeks out for like detail work. Yeah. So I think personally, most of my clients, if they come in with shoulder issues and they're doing flies, get rid of them, and then I'll replace them with like external rotation work of the shoulder, but not cables. Sorry, not cables, bands. I'm on about actually get strong in these movements. So I'll get people to work with dumbbells from fully all the way down, all the way up. Yeah, all the way down, all the way up. You tend to lose the weight in the dumbbell at the top here anyway, because it's starting to come on top. So then what I'll do is I'll then set them up on a cable machine, bring the cable sort of parallel, just below parallel, and then we get strong just here. And we aim to work up to 10% of your body weight.
Okay.
So we actually have like a number that we aim for. And you will notice like all of your lifts go up by creating strength from like the most internal part of the movement. And pain goes away. Yeah. You think how big like these muscles here are here compared to like the little rotated cuffs on the back trying to make your arm do this. They're tiny, and then you've got the big massive pecs that are like trying to whip round. So that's a big problem in shoulder pain. Probably the most common that I see, especially among like the bodybuilders, and especially the big guys. Like some of them, you've seen some of the guys that come in. Some of them are big lads. Some of them have probably got more muscle on like one pec than most people have, like on their upper body.
So I wanted to ask you, because this is something that I think everybody can pick up on, no matter if you're a bodybuilder or you're not. We kind of touched upon this before we started recording, really. But if you have, a lot of people make the mistake, I think, of, because of time and investment is two problems I think that people suffer with. So if somebody's got like a 9-to-5 job, or they are in a manual job, they're quite tired, they've just finished, it's that normal gym goer that comes in the evening or whatever. They've only got an hour, right? They've got an hour. They want to look bigger. They want to look good for summer. They want to feel good. They know that they need to do their compounds. They're not stupid. They know what exercises to do, but they skip their warm-up. They go straight into either a working set, or they go into a heavy, straight away off the bat, heavy rotator cuff. I could never stand it. It always made me cringe when somebody wasn't warm at all, and then walk in and get the 10 straight off the bat. Obviously work up to it, but not straight off the bat, right? So what would you say to people, apart from the obvious thing is warm up, but what would you say to people, and explain how crucial it is to get these corrective exercises in to at least get you going, which will add to your investment time? Do you know what I mean? Because realistically, 6 to 12 months isn't optimal. Time, you don't just get angry, is a decent amount and the correct amount of time to kind of build muscle, feel good, right? So if you are going into the gym and you're lifting heavy on these 10 kilo dumbbells and you injure your shoulder, and then you can't do this 6 to 12 months, why is it crucial for people to go and do these exercises incorporated in their routines?
See, when people just jump in and they just grab some dumbbells and do this thing, right? Chances are they're not actually even using the rotator cuff anyway. It's probably missing it. The muscles around it will just be moving it. One thing actually that I think is very important before ever starting any kind of training is actually like a little bit of cardio. 10 minutes. Literally, just get your heart rate up, gets blood flowing. I think that's massively important to like injury prevention, just not being cold. And then when it comes to mobility issues before training, do you have problems? Why are you doing them? Are they specific? Do you know that you need to be doing specific ones? There are, in my opinion, gospel musts that you should always do. depending on what you're training. So on a push day, first thing that you have to be doing, you got to be doing some rotator stuff, like external rotation stuff. You might get away with not having to do it every time. You know, once you're strong, like what you're saying about getting strong in this rotation, external rotation movement, once you are strong, you might be able to just do it every other push session, or just a couple of times a week, or like, you know, just to maintain it. But equally, like if you was just, say you're going to do a push day, if you just done 30 seconds of burpees, I know that they're disgusting, but everything that you're going to use, or some burpees into star jumps or whatever, you know, whatever you do, you've probably got enough blood around everything that you're going to be using just by doing that for 30 seconds. This sort of like rotatory stuff, I personally would only recommend it if there's a problem. If there's not a problem, don't do it. I think when you say about going straight, I think that's where people go wrong. They go straight into their compounds as their first lift. I actually think that's a terrible idea. Not only from an injury prevention, but from like a performance. People think like that's when I've got my most energy. But actually, like that's when you're your coldest. Nothing's like, you've not created any stimulus anywhere. You're just going to go straight in, chuck a couple of plates on a bench press, and just, it's not going to do anything. Realistically, it's not the way forward. You know, I would always do, if we were talking like a chest day, I would always do some flies, some push-ups, 10 minutes cardio, want my heart rate up a little bit, want blood flow up a little bit. I would do some press-ups, maybe do some flies just to kind of open my chest up a little bit and just get some blood in there. Maybe spend like 20 minutes. That's like including the cardio, right? We've done a little bit of cardio, we've done some push-ups, we've warmed everything up, warmed our elbows up. Then I would do some feeder sets. Like if you really, really, really want to do a bench press first or your big press first, I would do just a couple of feeder sets. And then I always look at doing like 2 working sets per muscle group. So if you need to do 2 or 3 feeder warm-up sets, then just do that. Because there's no point in like warming up your knees if you're going to bench press, is there? Same in the way that there's not much point in creating a lot of torque. Well, no, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. And this is the thing that we were saying earlier about the fitness industry. Like you could talk to anyone, you could talk to 10 people and get 10 different opinions, right? For me personally, I wouldn't work on an issue unless it was a problem. To be honest, I wouldn't. Other than I know I'm training upper body, so I want to warm the upper body up. Cardio, burpees into star jumps, 10 minutes cardio, and some push-ups. Probably going to be livened up enough, ready to roll. But I do sort of like, not recommend doing compounds first. I definitely not. Same with like legs. You know, I wouldn't do squats first. I'd be doing like 4 or 5 sets of leg extensions. It's
weird because I think that time thing is the thing that's stopping people as well, because me and Steve had this conversation last week about if you're in a commercial gym, how can you optimize literally as much as you can in that session without waiting for everything that you need to, instead of like walking out or whatever. And we were saying that people will go onto the rack first because there's only one rack roughly in a commercial gym.
If it's empty,
they'll hog it and they'll go, well, I know I've got people waiting for me. I've got to get these squats done now. So they're kind of almost forced from a pressure perspective
I
to
get
it done. So I feel like if people take their time and they go to the mats first, that rack's going to be free at some point. Or, as Steve said, work in with them. So do what you need to do, 10 minutes cardio first, do your warm-ups first, whatever you need to. And then, boys, do you mind if I work in with you?
Exactly that.
Done.
You need to eliminate that thing, that concern of like not being able to get on something. You need to just not think about it. It's not a problem. Worst case scenario, you gotta wait, or which seems mind-boggling to a lot of people, do something different. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, if you can't get on a squat rack and someone's that ignorant that they're not going to let you work in with them, do a different squat.
Yeah.
There's so many different
100%.
squat versions. Like, you don't have to be a barbell in a squat rack. Like, grab a dumbbell, do some goblet squats.
Might actually stimulate growth more. Never know, do you?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah,
you don't. And we were talking about these sort of posts I've been doing. I did a post about logbooks and like, how do you train? Because I know some people that are like, man, that logbook is like the Bible, and they follow it to a T, and every week or two there has to be improvements.
Yeah.
Got to go up in weight, got to go up in weight, got to go up in weight. And this is the group, like straight sets. And this is the group of people that I see get injured the most, because they're not thinking of all the other variables of improvement. They're just like, get stronger, get stronger, get stronger.
Yeah.
It's like, but you're a bodybuilder, you're not a power lifter. Like, how much you lift is not relevant, because there's so many other factors involved in getting stronger. You know, it's not really, it's good to get stronger. Like, it's wicked. Like, it's a good goal for people to aim to get stronger. But from a bodybuilding perspective, getting stronger is just like a byproduct of bodybuilding, isn't it? You don't really want it to be a purpose. That's my sole purpose. If I get stronger, I'll get bigger. Because like some of the strongest people I know, they don't even look.
They just train instinctively.
They just train like so. They're just average looking. Like they're not. When I say average looking, that's maybe rude, but
they're
like
not like a bodybuilder.
they're not like a bodybuilder. They just look like a well built person. Do you know what I mean? And they're putting like twice as much weight. So actually, with half the amount of muscle. So actually, that's not really the best thing to go off. But you know, there's so many different squat variations. Same with like hip hinges. You know, any compound movement there is, there's something else that you can do, right? So bearing that in mind, you got an hour. You work 9 till 5. Oh yeah, but I might not be. You're wasting time because you're just putting energy into something that's completely out of your hands. Get in there, get some heart rate up with a little bit of cardio. You're doing upper body. Drop down, do some push-ups and some, you know, whatever you wish to do really, just to kind of get everything blood moving. If you can't get on the bench press, do some dumbbell presses, you know, or vice versa, or get on the chest machine. You're going to get on one of them, right? Unless you've got a silly busy gym. Yeah. Even like if your gym might have some TRX cables. Do you know what I mean? Hang them up on something and do some. You might do some more reps. As long as you're going to failure or close to failure, like what does it really matter what you do?
Yeah, I used to get a lot of people in their books or their program cards that we used to do for them. I used to go, right, because obviously we only had like one squat rack at my old job. So I'd be right, okay, if you write down roughly what you did on the squats, so like let's say 60 kilo, whatever, let's write it down. And then when you next come in, you can't get on that again, that bit of equipment, and you roughly know what you were doing. Go and do kettlebell squats, for example, like front squats or something. Write that down. Yeah. And then you've got a page of squat variations. Yeah. Then you've got a variation. And those people saw really good results because when they were coming in, they eliminated that, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm going to go home now. Yeah. And they go, do you know what? I can't get on that bench press now. I'm going to do weighted press ups. Would you mind putting a 20 kilo on my back? And it's like, good. Just changed it. It's just got literally a page of that. And I think that's where the people get the better results.
Absolutely.
Well, it doesn't even have to be commercial gyms. It could be any gym. I mean, if you go to any gym at 5 o'clock.
Most of them only have like one bench.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you go on a Monday where like it's International Chest Day, you know, it's just one of those things that you have to battle with. So let's say, okay, well, I'm going to train chest on Thursday. You know, but you know, however you go about it, there's always another option. Variation is not going to kill your hypertrophy goals. It isn't. Like, you know, and I have this conversation with many people that are like gospel on like,
have to get that back squat, get it. Like the legs are going to shrink.
And like like they're scared, like something's going to happen. Like they can't have a rest day when that's not their rest day. Their rest day is the next day. So we'll just swap it. I can't swap it. You definitely can.
My coach says
you definitely can swap it. And do you know what's going to happen if you swap your rest days around? Nothing. It's going to be absolutely fine.
It's going to be all right, mate.
So yeah, I think eliminate that. Like because every adult, most adults have got a time restraint in there. Like squeezing the gym in, it can be pretty intense. You know, with work and if you've got kids, got family and stuff. You know, it is difficult. But there's no point making it more difficult for yourself. You know, also you may find like if you're supposed to be doing like a back squat. I can't get on the squat machine. I'm going to do some heavy goblet squats. I'm going to raise my heel up, and I'm going to really smoke my quads, and then maybe I might chuck in a dumbbell hip hinge, maybe, because this whole area is free, right? I might even do a little superset. I might even chuck them both in, and it does, as long as you're going to fatigue, or maybe if you work in reps in reserve, or whatever your style of training is, as long as you're working out, you might actually find that when you go back to doing your squat the next week, because the squat rack's free, having that rest from doing that pattern, your lift may still even go up. Even though I understand, like, so for us, it's just perhaps always been a part of just your life, right? Like you've always been into a sport or the gym, and it's just a natural part of your daily living. But for like new people, it's quite intense, isn't it? Like it's quite an intense thing. Like you're starting this new thing. Like you're perhaps a bit nervous because you've completely got this wrong misconception of what the gym's like and what people are like in the gym. So you've already made it intense. So like if you are following a logbook and you're like, fucking that shit, I can't get on that. That person's on that. What do I do? I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to ask if I can jump in because he's 6'3" and massive. Where actually, you know, just relax, take your time. And if you've got a coach or someone helping you out, you should easily be able to go, look, can't get on this, can't do this. What do you want me to do? Yeah. Most coaches are pretty quick on responses. If not, do something else. Yeah. A piece of kit that is just free.
The whole process, this needs to be fun as well.
It's got to be fun.
It needs to be enjoyable.
If you can't get on something, don't stress. Yeah. Even if it's chest day or a push day, but the lat pull downs machine's free. Just go train. Yeah. Just have fun and enjoy it. I know that might not work for, you know, like bodybuilders.
Because they have to hate it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, they have to be annoyed.
They have to have that exercise for the Excel video on.
Yeah. But like for people that are just going to train and just exercise, like if you're doing 6 movements, say, in your training day, what's it matter? The chances are, to be fair, like you probably wouldn't program someone a chest day. Like one of your kind of clients, that wouldn't be a thing, right? It'd perhaps be like an upper, lower, or push pull legs, or however you do it. Just use something else. Just have fun. Just try. Yeah. Just try hard at it. Yeah.
Do you think that's why when you... I don't really know the age range really. I'm trying to figure it out the last few weeks, but I don't know if it's the same nowadays. But when you get to about 14, 16, you're just playing around in the gym, aren't you? You're having a bit of fun. You see it. Well, nowadays you see things online, so you try it, whatever. When you get to about probably 20s, you start to probably take it a bit more seriously, and you really probably get a bit more into bodybuilding. So a lot of people that I know kind of are starting to dip their toe into that bodybuilding world now, have given it a go. Like we all have wanted to. I've never wanted to compete or anything, but I trained like it. And I think everybody mainly did in their 20s. And then once you probably get to 25, a little bit later, towards the end of 20, start your 30s, you then start to really know what you like. And you probably say, do you know what? I actually don't like that. I like CrossFit, or I like
or you just want to change.
Or you just want to change, yeah. And I want to kind of just say that I think you won't know that until you've gone through that path of it. So if you don't go to the gym, you won't know what you like. No. You won't know what... You become more knowledgeable, don't you? And I feel like if you go through that journey of the different types of fitness types and bodybuilders and CrossFitters, whatever it is, you won't know, so you won't enjoy it as much. So have as much fun as possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
no, exactly. And I think we always naturally go down the route of bodybuilding because most of the time that's what the gyms have available that we go to. Right, like we've got CrossFit gyms and everything now popping up. Like, you know, wicked. Like there's all this functional stuff. High Rocks, is it? It's like an event. You know, it's a bit like CrossFit, but it just looks mental to be honest.
Okay.
Like it's,
in the big arena thing.
They've all got all this different kind of stuff now. So like when I joined the gym, you either like play sports or you ran, cycling, swimming, gym. And actually, I'm a big believer of keeping bodybuilding away from the health and fitness industry.
Jump up,
Like it's not the fucking same thing. Like you might be in the gym, but bodybuilding is a whole different kettle of fish to probably the people that you know you're dealing with. Health and fitness that want to be. I
think a lot of people need to realise as well, like you said, it's a sport, and that it's kind of a season, isn't it? Because if you to relate it to sports that people know, so football and rugby, you have a football and rugby season, and once you've based that season off how the performance was to relate to bodybuilders, how they look, how they performed on stage, whatever, then the next season you know what to work on, like you touched upon, isn't it? And I think people don't realise it is actually a sport. It has to be a lifestyle. It's a 24-hour job, 7 days.
You can't have time off.
Can't have time off. No.
Because you just disappear.
Yeah.
You use it or lose it.
Yeah.
You know, and so you imagine when you've got that extremities of muscle mass, how quickly you would lose it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you were just in good nick and you had a few months off, you'd probably be fine. Like, you're probably not going to look a huge amount different. Maybe a bit flat, might put on a little bit of body fat. But if you're a 130 kilo bodybuilder and you all of a sudden like don't do it anymore, stop training, stop eating, you're going to be losing kilos by the days. Like you know, it comes off quick. So you can't. Most guys I know who compete really have no time off, because also once they've done their show, they have this massive window of like where they've almost been in such a big deficit for such a long time. They have this window of opportunity where food goes up, they're very absorbent, and they put on a lot of tissue in that like post show. So it's not even like they do a show then have some time off. You know, it's like that's the next exciting bit, right? They're lean as lean, and then they start putting food in, and the body just goes, you know, and it's an interesting sport. But I think people who are getting into fitness or just want to like better their lives, because that's the goal, right? Like exercise is probably, especially with resistance training, it's pretty much the closest thing you can get to like fountain of youth. Like it's 100%. This.
I agree.
But you shouldn't be looking at like bodybuilders when they're in show condition and being like, "Fuck, oh man, I don't look anything like that." You're not going to. That's a very unrealistic goal. That is the extremes of extreme. Very unnatural in all senses of the term. Don't aspire. Unless you want to be a bodybuilder, don't aspire to look like bodybuilders because the condition they are in is very, very unrealistic and unreachable unless you're willing to do everything they're willing to do.
Sacrifice your life, basically. Sacrifice your family, your friends, everything.
And this is, I'm sure Steve talked about this, right? Like trying to be a bodybuilder and be a family man. Yeah. Because he's a family man. Like Steve lives and does everything for his family. You know, he's a wonderful dad and husband, and he's a really good bodybuilder as well. You know, he's a fantastic bodybuilder. At some point, something has to compromise. Yeah, you know, he has to. There's going to be certain parts in his year where bodybuilding probably comes first.
You can use them as a bit of motivation, can't you? But I think realistically, you have to let go of the fact that when you sit down and you sit on a chair, you will have rolls. When you sit down and you feel a bit fluffy one day, it's completely normal. For a bodybuilder, obviously that's a bit of a detriment. You have to change that. But for somebody at the top of your game, obviously, or if you're really serious about it, obviously, but if you're just just a general person just wants to look good, feel good. Don't worry about all that, because of obviously the way social media is now of everything as well. Like it's getting a bit better now. I don't know if you've noticed it, but very much kind of edited, fake, washboard abs.
Yeah.
But now I think there is some reality as to actually you can eat what you want. There's no, you don't need to eat clean 100% of the time. You don't need to.
It just
do all that.
ruins it.
Does it?
Just people are looking at like bodybuilders preps kind of food plans, right? And they're like, no one wants to eat like that. They don't want to eat like it. Bodybuilders don't want to eat like it, but they have to, because to get into the condition that they want it. Like
a lot of those videos that say what I eat in a day are not really what you eat in a day.
No,
it might be baseline, but you don't make that look pretty. You don't have all the extra stuff. You probably just eat what you want. Do you know what I mean? It's all a bit of a facade with stuff, really. But
it's a shame in a way, because not so much a shame, but like people will take a lot of coaches that are bodybuilders will treat their clients like bodybuilders. Coach, I know some wicked coaches, like fantastic coaches, but I couldn't think of nothing more boring than treating someone that's not into bodybuilding as a bodybuilder, because they're just going to not enjoy this whole fitness endeavor and like making it a part of their life from a longevity standpoint. Because who wants to fucking eat chicken and rice 3 times a day and like can't have butter on your toast?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, you know, so, and yeah, it's kind of like taking like the very extreme part of it and then making it part of my life as just like someone who wants to go to the gym 3 days a week and just feel better. Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it? Like, even if it's the goal's fat loss, the goal is always to feel better. Yeah, to feel better. Just feel nice. Just want to feel good. Like, you might have young kids that you just want to, from a long journey. Like I was saying earlier, you know, I'm kind of hitting a point in my life now, like late 30s, where mine's changing. You know, like I can't recover the same way that I could. So now like periodization is a massive thing for me. You know, like I love heavy benching. I can't do it every week now because like fucking shoulder hurts or I can't recover, you know, from it. So my heavy bench day is now like on a 14-day cycle. I probably, you know, and even then, like 1 week I may bench 100 kilos, and then the next week I may bench 140, or the next time around 140. That's a massive difference in weight. But I'm at an age now where, although I'm far from old, I don't feel old in any way, shape or form. But your body has been doing something for a long time, unless you know, if you're not willing to change things, you're going to get hurt. It's just something you have to accept, that like as you get older, training does have to change a bit. Yeah.
You probably train quite instinctively in the fact that you do what you enjoy on the day as well. So
exactly.
If you feel like you want to do 100 for reps, you do it because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
The next week or 2 weeks later, if you want to do the 140 because you want to test yourself, you can. And it's because you enjoy it, isn't it? And
yeah.
It's like we said with the logbook and stuff. You're not going in there thinking, like I've got, because there is people like your age that will still do that and still train like in their 20s because they cannot shift the fact that they're older. Yeah. They cannot shift the fact that they.
But the unfortunate side of it is you're not in your 20s. Well, it's not unfortunate, you know. You embrace every chapter of your life, but you know, some people do have a problem with getting older. Yeah, and they think that the way to stay younger is acting younger, when actually, from a longevity standpoint, the goal is to just accept that you can't train like that now. You've got to, and it's going to have a negative effect. It's going to go the other way. Yeah. Like even training as a teenager to your 20s needs to be different. From your 20s to your 30s is going to be different, and definitely from your 30s to your 40s is going to be different. You can still do the same exercises if you wish to. I think compound exercises are a great way to add functional kind of training to your program. But like it just has to change, man. Like you've got to do. I do more mobility stuff now. I put more focus on like cardio health now. Where like there's been chapters of my life where I've done. Like my cardio was like going upstairs, you know. Just because, you know, I've got kids, I've got young kids, and I just want to feel nice and feel good. I'm not bothered about being 130 kilos and being able to, you know, just be the biggest person in the room. Yeah. You know, that's not my goal anymore. My goal is just to sort of be healthy and just enjoy exercising, you know. And I do appreciate that I'm not as strong as I have been. I'm not as big as I have been. I'm not as shredded as I have been. But I feel wicked. You know, I feel good. I've got no injuries. For me now, it's more about switching to like, right, I want to carry on doing this for another 40 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's getting yourself into a place where you can do it for a long time now. Yeah. You know, that's just how I look at things. But I don't look back at like how I've been and been like, fuck man, like I'm not, you don't want to be a has-been. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I used to be able to do that. I used to be able to do that. It's like,
there's nothing worse than people on it. I can't stand it when people said, I used to do this. I don't really care.
No.
Because I don't think you should care.
You shouldn't care. No, because it's a different chapter of your life. Yeah. You know, what you can do in your 20s is going to be different than what you can do in your 30s and 40s. Yeah. And if you're still trying to do that, you need to stop.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
That's where you're going to go wrong.
I think it's completely exhausting. And like you said, I think it reverses the aging process. I think it actually makes you older by doing that because you're just so caught up on the past, using so much energy to try and impress everybody that walk that. A moment a trainer or a coach speaks to somebody like that, I feel like they have to, in my experience anyway, they have to tell me, because I'm a coach, they feel like subconsciously they have to impress me of what they used to lift. Yeah. In the nicest way possible. I don't really care.
It's not relevant.
It's cool to talk about it, but I don't really care. But the amount of energy that goes into trying to tell me this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You could put your energy into just doing a run or doing something simple. I don't need to tell me this. We could talk about it and have a nice debate. But when you're talking at me and saying, I used to bench 200 kilo, I'm like, cool.
Wicked.
Cool.
Good. That's impressive.
In the gym there cool. But you need to focus more on your energy now. And if it's constantly, I bench 200 kilo, it's like...
And that's just a problem within themselves, isn't it? That's just like an acceptance thing of like, I'm getting old. I don't want to accept it. And I think fitness is the right route to go down with keeping yourself youthful, but trying to stay the same as what you were when you were younger is not staying youthful. That's just trying to keep your ego in the same place as what it was when you were 20. Actually, to keep yourself youthful is accepting your age, accepting injuries or, you know, whatever you have. You might not have any, but just you've got to be accepting of what stage you are in your life, and you can still train bloody hard. Like it's just going to be different. Like, you know, I've got clients of mine that compete still, bodybuilders, in their 50s, still jacked, big people, and they you know, compete in the over 50s. You know, these guys are like massive, shredded, you know, machines. But even they'll tell you, like, they've gone from training 6 days a week to 4 days a week because you just can't recover. Because at 4 days a week they grow. At 6 days a week they can't grow. More isn't better as you get older. I used to train 6 days a week. Now I do like 4.
I can't imagine doing that now. Honestly, I'd be fucked.
I do 4 days now. Yeah. And I feel good at 4 days. If I try to do a little bit more, I get tired. And it's not because you've been a pussy. It's just you're not 21. You know, train for your age. You got to train for your age. You really do. That's very important. And the volume in which you train is detrimental. You know what I mean? Like, that is the most important key. Is working out, despite what your coach tells you to do. Like, if your coach gives you a program and you're just done in all the time,
and they say push through.
Just push through. Have some pre-workout, have some caffeine, and it's like, you could do it, but it's not going to be the best progressive kind of way forward. A lot of people disagree, and maybe I'm a bit too relaxed with it now, but like, if I'm knackered, like, I'll have a day off. what I was going to do today, I'll do tomorrow.
I agree with that.
I'm knackered. Why would I go to the gym, man? Like sometimes you can like, you know, I'll go just walk the dog. You know, some days I am if I'm just like, you know what, like you had stress, you got things going on, I've got 3 kids. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you sleep shit. You know, you're not going to train the same on one day where you've had 8 hours sleep.
You probably notice as well, because you're experienced, you know the difference between I can probably push through this today versus I know I probably can't do this today. So as well, I think you've trained instinctively over the years, haven't you? You know what, I actually am not feeling it today. Like I said before we started this, if I can't squeeze my hand hard, I know my central nervous system's fucked. And it's a telltale to see if central nervous system fucked. If I can't do that, I might start on a bike. If I can't, I'll go in. The next day, if I can squeeze my hand, and it's all right, I've got a good grip, I'll train. But it's definitely on the day. Definitely.
Well, but like if you're not an athlete with a date for a goal, you know, like if you're prepping for a show or whether you got a fight coming up or, you know, whether, like, what's it matter? Really, like, what does it matter? Like, if and this is another stress that people shouldn't put on themselves. Like, today's a training day, but I feel fucked. Don't make it a training day. Tomorrow's a day off. Swap it. Chill out today. Try to get a good night's sleep.
And if that day turns into 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, go get something checked.
Yeah, there's something's not right. Like, if there's something wrong, like there's something affecting you, and you know, everyone has different levels of drive. That's something that you've got to learn. Like, am I being lazy or am I actually fucked? And it's like, well, you drank at the weekend, you had 4 hours sleep, then you've gone and worked on a Monday, you've slept shit again because you're overtired. Training day's Tuesday, you feel fucked. You probably are. You probably are because, you know, that's what's been happening for the last 4 days. But so in that sense, you could say, like, right, come on, just pull yourself together. You might feel better for that, like actually driving through it might feel better. But then equally, like the next day, you might be even just more tired. So it's like, it's just experiencing it. It's just gauging things. But just because today is supposed to be a training day does not mean today has to be a training day. You know, that's not how it works, man. Like, as long as over that month you've done all them sessions, you've done everything you're supposed to, you've progressively got better in whatever it is, whether it's strength or volume or whatever your goals are. The more relaxed you can be about your approach to training, the less likely you are to get bored of it or not enjoy it. You're less likely, I think, to get injured, because that's where people get injured, when they just push, and you're like, mate, if you just like chilled out a bit, chill out. You haven't got to train like that. You know, like it needs to be enjoyable. Has to be enjoyable. What's the point if you don't enjoy it? And like, you might have some, you know, some prat that's like, oh, you've had a day off, oh, you've been lazy, oh, you should be in the gym. Like, just fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, it's pointless. Like, you're still going to go to the gym. You're still going to get there, and you will, I guarantee, put money on it, because you've had an extra day's rest. When you go to the gym, you'll be banging. And you'll just have a better workout. Yeah. So
you've invested in it.
It's about optimizing.
Got him.
It's about getting yourself, you know, as mint. You want to be mint for your workouts, right? And some people it's 3 days a week, some people it's 4 days a week. Younger people or enhanced people, you know, like people who are, you know, taking peds and stuff, their recovery will be banging. You know, you could have a 40-year-old, 50-year-old on peds, probably still training, maybe 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Maybe. It's not always the case. It's not always the case. Like, peds help recovery, but like, you still got to consider your age.
Yeah, and you got to consider lifestyle factors as well. So if you may get stressed and stuff and everything like that as well, it still could affect it, can't it?
Yeah, so it's a bit like we were talking about testosterone levels earlier, weren't we? About the guy you had in the other week doing the TRT check. You know, you could have sleep diet, everything in place. Ticking all the boxes, not drink, not smoke, not do anything naughty. And still have rubbish recovery because your hormone levels are shot.
So, just quickly before we wrap it up, we know that injury prevention takes a bit of time. It's not a quick fix. I don't like leaning into quick fix culture.
No.
But do you have any hacks that you like to use yourself or give out, whether it is food advice or something that isn't training advice, which you think has been quite to maybe promoting blood flow, pain relief, anything that is within your realm?
Yeah.
Anything that way?
Depending on like what level you're at, really, you know. But my go-to always for, I would always incorporate compound movements. Whatever you're doing, whatever style training you do, whatever muscle group you're training, I would always have a compound in there, because generally those compound movements are going to be moving. They're a compound because they move multiple joints, right? So it's always going to be the best option for overall kind of mobility and function, right? So there should always be a compound in there. Hydration, first thing to get on top of when you first start out. Hydration is key.
Is there a way of gauging people's hydration levels that they could maybe work out?
Food.
Right.
How many carbs? I would always say that the more carbs you're on, the more water you'll need. I find that if I'm not on on very high carbs, I could get away with 3 to 4 litres a day. When my carbs are really high, I could probably do like 6. So food, obviously there. So if you were to tick off your hydration compounds, food wise, you know, food is always pretty much dependent on the goal, isn't it? To be honest, I'd make sure at least there's twice a week some like oily fish. That's good for joints.
Yeah.
Over supplementing it, I would always opt for food over supplement. Yeah. You could take like your EFAs or your cod liver oils or whatever, but generally just eating like an oily fish a couple of times a week is normally enough. Yeah. To be honest.
Fucking wasp in here. We'll twat it in a minute if it comes near us.
Sorry, yeah, no, I would. Compounds are important. Compounds are very important. Compounds are also very important for kind of combating osteoarthritis.
Okay, yeah.
Loading them joints. Honestly, it's one of the best things you can do when we talk about longevity and maybe some older clients. Loading and stacking joints, getting some pressure through them joints is the best thing you can do. Hydration, food is going to be very based on your goals, but there are certain foods that help. The highest protein you can possible you can get in, and we touched base on this earlier. Obviously, every coach is going to be different. But if your diet's based on protein goal, and then the rest of the calories is made up by however you want, that's normally a good way to start. Protein is obviously going to help massively with recovery. If you do find that you're flagging, one of the other things you could do is maybe think of your carbs and maybe make sure you're getting enough carbs, because maybe that's not really detrimental, to be honest. I actually quite enjoy being quite low carb. I don't know about you, but
I feel better sometimes. If I tend to be right with higher fats at the moment.
Yeah, I feel way better when I have high protein, more high fats and lower carbs. My carbs now are actually pretty low. I have like 60 grams of oats in the morning with a banana before I train. And then have some fruits through the day. And then in the evening, I'd probably have like potatoes or rice. To be honest, that's pretty. I'm probably 150 grams of carbs a day, which is
just enough in it to do what it needs to do.
Yeah, and then I just have a lot higher fats, and actually I feel much nicer. But from a bodybuilding perspective, like that doesn't work. That doesn't work. But let's say we're not talking about bodybuilders.
Yeah, I perform better on higher carbs, obviously, depending on what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
I feel more cognitively with it, with higher fat and lower carbs, though.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that balance. But some days I love lower, some days I love higher.
I think a good way of doing it is like non-training days. Have lower carbs, higher fats. Or people do it the other way. People have. I've seen now, because technically, like, if you're training in the morning, the carbs producing the energy are going to be from the night before, right? Like, that's what you're going to be using. So people have like a higher carb meal the night before.
8 to 16 hour window, something like that.
Yeah, so it's just like trial and error, isn't it? See what you feel. I just wanted to pull the carbs back because my training output is less. Yeah. So I don't need 500 grams of carbs a day, because I'll just get fat. 400
litres of water.
I'll just get fat and I'm insulin resistant. If you have, my advice would be, if you have a niggle, if you have niggles, if you have injuries, if you have things that are playing up or not quite right, fix them. That would be like the best advice. If you don't have niggles, you don't have problems, you enjoy training, but then just enjoy it. Like you've got it keyed in, like you're winning. But generally, like if someone has a problem, don't try to work around it. Yeah. Don't work around it. Just go get someone to have a look at it. Go see a physio or like a PT to overlook your training. Maybe your form's not quite right. Get plenty of sleep. That's very detrimental to recovery and hormones. Yeah.
Fucking hell, I need to sleep about 20 hours then.
But you're beyond. I don't think sleep's going to help you.
So where can people find you then? What's your socials, Gav? Where can people find you?
My socials are Realign Cams on Instagram and Facebook. I'm in Littleport, Cambridgeshire. And it's if anyone has any needs fixing,
I'll fix you.
Hit me up. If I can't, I don't do soft massages. I don't do relaxing massages at all.
No.
So don't ask.
No weird tea tree oil in that joint.
No. We don't have whale music or candles. We have either dance music or planet rock. So we've really set the tone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We really
get your heart rate up, ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Just listen to your body. I think that's like the biggest bit of advice, isn't it? Across all of the boards, is listen to your body. If you've got a niggle, if something doesn't feel right, get it fixed. If you're really tired, rest. If you're feeling stressed about something in there, fix it. Like, you got to fix that. So to make the rest of it enjoyable, you got to, because we put it in place ourselves, right? Like we create them. Like, I'm going to be stressed about that. I'm going to worry about that. I'm going to go to the gym. I got this. You're doing that. Like, they don't need to be there, right? So just, I'm going to get to the gym. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to get on what I can. I've had my food. I've drunk my drink. I've had my sleep. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and just enjoy it. Don't compare yourself to people that are at very extremes of the fitness industry, which personally I would actually advise people to separate it from the fitness industry, because you probably went into like what's involved in bodybuilding with Steve, maybe.
You kind of.
Right. If you are, depending on who you're looking at, I mean, I know some natural bodybuilders that are in phenomenal shape. but they're genetic freaks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
People, aren't they?
You know what I mean? They're genetic freaks. The worst thing you can do is compare yourself to other people. You can maybe like the look of someone and be like, oh, I'd quite like to have a bit more, you know, whatever. But don't compare yourself to people, especially people that are at the other end of the spectrum, because they are just doing things and doing stuff and living a life that you probably don't want to do, you know. And it just be a better you, you know, just enjoy training. I actually find more people become less in pain the more they train. And they, you know, if you get that right and you get that programming right and you get that balance right, you don't really get injured.
Kind of untouchable, aren't you, in a way?
Yeah, like if you get that all zoned in, people only get injured if they're gone too far. Doing too much of the same thing over and over and over and over again, or they've done something slightly wrong. Right, so you keep all that in check, have lots of fun, listen to your coach, focus on your goal, and yeah, just have fun, man. Yeah, it's just about having fun. And if you do pick up a niggle, which we all do, go see Gav, or go see someone, you know. Not going to plug myself, but like go see someone. Like if you're not local, or like just see someone and just get some advice and just get it fixed. Like there's no point soldiering through something for what? Yeah, like your workout's gonna be shit. You're gonna be stressed about it. Be clever about it. Like just go get it fixed. Performance, or have regular work. Yeah, I mean, I actually, I lie then. I always say, no, I have regular work. But I don't. I do when I can. But when I was training, like, all the time, like, really smashing everything, I'd have one every month. A massage every month. Yeah. Just because it helps with recovery, helps with things that I'm not very good at. Right? So it's just a tool that helped me. But I don't train like I used to train. So I don't get injured like I used to. I don't get niggles like I used to. But if I ever do get a niggle,
straight away, instant.
Listen, there's a saying of, if you listen to your body whisper, you won't have to listen to it scream. And a little cheesy, but it's true. Yeah. And little niggles are easier to fix than like a big catastrophic problem that's been building up for 6 months. Yeah. You know, that's a problem. Yeah. Niggles are easy. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, just that'd be my advice. That'd be my advice. Have fun, listen to your body, and don't compare. Yeah.
That's good advice. On that note, we'll finish. Thank you very much.
No worries, mate.
No worries. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching the video. If you'd like to see more videos and content like this, then subscribe to all of my social media platforms at Nixon's Training and Health. If you would like me to cover any specific topics related to health and fitness, then pop me an email or comment below on the video and I'll cover it as best as I can.